Hey guys, welcome to the video series of data engineering on Microsoft Azure DP 203. Hope you guys are doing well and staying safe. In today's video, we will look into the incremental data load and how to implement it in Azure Data Factory or Azure Synapse Pipeline. And it will cover these two topics like design and implement increment data loads and increment load using the Azure Data Factory from DP 203. So who don't know what is incremental data load? It's a pattern to identify the data that are created or modified since the last time the load process run. In simple words, basically we are trying to load only new or updated records from the source. So that is known as incremental data load. Some benefits of it. The first one is it runs faster. And because instead of like full overwrite, we are doing the data load on Delta. So we are processing less data, or you can say we are touching less data, so it runs fast. And incremental data load performance is steady over time. And like if you think logically, that makes sense too, because we are just updating, like we're just loading the new or updated records. And if you look on any frequency, like a day, daily, weekly, monthly, they will be pretty consistent. While in case of full overwrite or full overload, like every day the data will increase, or like every time you run it, like it's like old data plus new data. So our load performance will decrease over time. And the last one, it it can preserve the historical data. So many source systems like purge their historical data periodically, and so in case of like incremental load, we don't have to worry about it. However, it's a problem in a full overwrite. Like if you're doing a full overwrite and they purge the historical data, so next day you'll lose everything. But in case of incremental load, we just keep adding the new data, and historical data is already exist in our storage, like it could be data warehouse or data lake. And now let's look at the logic, like what we're going to implement. So here's the logic of incremental data load into the data factory or Azure Synapse pipeline. It is very simple and easy to implement, but please keep this thing in mind, like it's not the only way to implement it. Like same logic can be used in like different services, for example, like Databricks and all those places. But and as I mentioned, it's not the only way. There could be other logic to do the same thing. So it starts with like two simple lookup activities, where like in the first activity we get the last watermark, and in the new one we get the new watermark. And then after that we copy or load the data into the sink using the like a load logic. That's basically the data between these two watermarks being copied from source to destination. And the last is the store procedures to update the watermark for the next run. So now let's jump into the demo. Perfect. So we are performing this demo in Azure Synapse Analytics, which we already aware, like it's a service which have all the features of Azure Data Pipeline, Databricks, and all those things. So that's why I'm doing it. And the prerequisites is Azure Synapse Pipeline, and also we need to create a dedicated SQL pool here. Okay, cool. So far, if you look into the tables, like I refresh it, we don't have any table. And so we're going to create two tables here. One is the watermark table, and the other one is the source table from which we will use the data to load into the our sink. And in this case, we will take our Azure Data Lake Gen 2 as a sink, which is already linked here. Like if you click here, it's already connected with Azure Synapse Analytics. Okay, so let's first create those two tables. Okay, this is EDW. So I already like have script ready where I'm just creating these tables. So first table is named as data source table. Let me copy paste here and explain to you. Okay, perfect. So if you look at the code, like we're creating a table named data source table, and it will have 3 fields: person, name, last modified, and their data type. Very basic stuff. And after that, we are inserting 5 rows into it, and this is going to be our source. And we, after our incremental load, our data pipeline, it need to be copied into Azure Data Lake Gen 2, or you can use blob storage or some other storage, but in this case we will use Azure Data Lake Gen 2. And so let me first create this table, run. Perfect, the table is created, and after that I'm inserting 5 records in it. Okay, cool. So everything is done successfully. Let's look into the table, refresh, table exists there, and if I do top 100, and so we have all 5 records. And I know I did it like separately, but if you want, like you can do the insertion in one go. Like let me show you, like you can insert things like this too, but keep this thing in your mind. If you're using any keyword or something, don't forget to put it under bracket. If you don't put it under bracket, you will get an error. Okay, so next step is to create a watermark table. Okay, and let me copy this stuff here from here. And don't worry, I'm going to share the link of the GitHub in the description, so you can do this by yourself. You can practice by yourself. So here you can see our watermark table. Okay, yeah, now it's good. So we are creating a watermark table which have a table name and a watermark value, like our other field is watermark value, which is date time. So we're going to create this, run. It's running, that's successful. And after that, we just inserting 1 record. And this is like, you can see like I inserting like a January 1st, 2010. So this is because we don't have anything in our table so far. So we can pick a date from past, which we know that we haven't inserted anything. So I'm using this, but generally, like if you're starting something for first time, like you can literally use this 999, this kind of thing. So you know that like if like in your watermark table, the watermark value is 1/1/1999, like it means like it never been there was like no incremental load ran so far. So this is like never been used. Okay, let me do this. Okay, so I inserted 1 record, and you can see 1 record exists there. And now we have our watermark table and our source table. So next thing is like we can directly jump into the pipeline and create the logic we talked about it, like this thing. To look up tables, 1 copy activity, and the store procedure. Oh, sorry, before jumping there, let's create the store procedure too. And it's going to be a very simple store procedure too. If you copy paste, come back here. So if you look at the store procedure, it's 1 second, let me increase the screen size so you can, yeah. So let me create the store procedure and I'll explain this to you. Okay, there's some, oh, so sorry, my bad. Like I already created the store procedure, so don't, that's why I couldn't create it. But like to show you, let me do one more thing. We can do one thing. Let me go to second. So I'm dropping the old store procedure just to show you, like, and next this got this, and if I run this, yeah, perfect. So like I just dropped, like I forgot to drop the old procedure, and now after dropping, like everything works fine. So in this store procedure, you can see we are creating like a store procedure with name of USP right watermark, and these are the two parameters we are passing here, the last modified time and the table name. And this, like in our activity, like in our data pipeline activity, we have to pass these two values to run this stored procedure successfully. And what are we doing? Basically, we are updating our watermark table with, like, we are updating the watermark table, basically both values, watermark value and table name, whatever parameters we pass, it will be set to those new new values. So basically watermark value will be set to the last modified time, and table, where like table name, which table name we passed here, which we will pass here, will be set to that. So it's easy, and like it basically updating the watermark value in the watermark table for the table which we passed as a parameter. Okay, now let's jump to